Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And we have our guest back with us. Happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here.
We call him a guest, but I think he's becoming a full-time spotter. What y'all think?
Listen, Ron, I'm with you, man. You know, we gotta balance it out a little bit, you know.
I know Ron is always happy to have
wait
some
until we
help.
get to a power series. That's when I really need you too. You know,
I'll be there for you.
you.
It's strength in numbers, brother. It's strength in numbers.
We gonna tag team y'all. Well, anyways, we are going to be talking about The Chi today. This is season 5, episode 5, and it was titled "We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off," which we're going to talk about that. So, you guys hang tight. We'll get right back with you. Everyone, we are back, and like I said, we are talking The Chi, season 5, episode 5. But before we even get into the conversation, I need y'all to do me a favor. If you're watching this video, look right down here below the video. There's a subscribe button. Click that button and subscribe to our channel, and also like this video. So now that we got that out the way, you know, ready to jump into this conversation. We don't have to take our clothes off. Now, when I seen the episode title, I was like, it was definitely some clothes getting taken off, though.
Something came off. I mean, it might not have been butt to butt, but something came off. I can tell you that.
Right. No, when we talked about this offline, I know we said that we were thrown off by the title because of the way the episode ended. However, I was saying that I feel like the episode was displaying how intimacy can be displayed without taking your clothes off. Like we saw Rashad and Deja after she was loving on him and they had that little spa date. And then we saw Kevin and Simone going to the dance and everything. And he's broadening his horizons, that type of dance. And then Trig and Fatima shared a kiss and everything. So I think there were like several instances of intimacy besides the final part, which we'll get to later, so that basically displayed that you don't have to take your clothes off.
And the non-intimate the non-intimate moments with the card game with Emmett and Keisha and family. I love that.
Dope.
I think
that was dope.
Yeah.
I mean, it warmed my heart to see that because it brought some memories, man, back in the day when we used to get together on Friday night at 7 p.m. And we were drinking some stuff and we were doing some things with spades. We would play spades all night long, man, from 7 to about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Those were the fun days.
I mean, to tell you, man, and things have just so changed. But when I saw that, it warmed me, man. I just loved every second of that.
Yeah, I like seeing that, and I also like seeing the bond between Emmett and his father because from a few seasons ago, they weren't in a good place. He definitely wasn't somebody that he would chill with and, have a card game with and everything. So to see them in that space, father and son, that warmed my heart.
Yes.
No, it did the whole thing really. And it was just really about love, the essence of love, not so much sexually, but just the whole essence of love. And that was good to see.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot was uncovered, a lot of relationships, a lot of thoughts, because even with the feelings, even the bed part when they were discussing his feelings and emotions and he used the L word,
Oh, you talking about Rashad and Deja.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. Great moment.
This was such a feel-good episode. I really enjoyed it. It seems like every week they putting out these feel-good type episodes. But I guess we started talking about the card game, but is that what we want to go ahead and enter the discussion? Because
we start from the beginning, started from the bottom, now we're here.
We can start.
Well, to start off, we ended last week's conversation talking about Gemma and Jake. And it seems like she was just getting ready to tell him that she was pregnant. And so this week we see that she actually has informed him. And Hassan, it seems like you were right again.
I
you
tried.
were right. Jake would likely want to keep it.
Ron and I were wrong. We said we didn't think Jake was going to be down for the cause, but he is.
Yeah, and that really surprised me with well, surprised me in a good way, though, I want to say. Because
yes, I was
really just shows how much he has grown.
Yes.
And and to tell Gemma's dad that he was willing to put whatever it took, getting a job or doing whatever to raise that, help raise the child, I'm like, wow, this dude has really grown. I was my only not negative, but ill thought was when he didn't just come out
and tell his brother.
Yeah, tell Trig, hey, this is what's going on. I would love to have seen or heard what Trig had to say to him, because I think he would have given him hopefully some strong advice, but not, that being said, it didn't happen that way. But I think the way it played out, and let me bring this up too while we're on the subject, because we know that it's a female's body and she has the ultimate decision. But when you have a man that's willing to step into the fold and do what he has to do, is it so easy to say to the woman that you make the choice and nothing else matters?
Well, I mean, looking at it from the perspective of that, it's their body, but it's our responsibility as well, too, right? Because
it's willing to take that responsibility, and that's what I'm asking.
Right.
When a man is willing to step into that role and take that responsibility,
right?
Do we just shun his half of it because she wouldn't be pregnant if it weren't for him?
Right.
And do we just shun his respect and not?
Well, it seems like she
said that she was going to definitely consider his thoughts, but she was just saying that it was
her body.
Her body.
Yeah. Always. And by the end, it seemed like she had come around and like they had probably decided to keep it when she let her dad know, which his reaction also surprised me, because at first he was like, let's go take care of this. But once they explained, know, how they wanted to care for the child, he seemed like he was like, it's your choice. You got to deal with, either way. Whichever way you decide, you're gonna have to deal with the consequences. Absolutely. Which he's right, but I'm surprised he didn't get more angry.
Yeah, well, with him, it's showing growth, right? Because even with Ron, you spoke about him. Like I was a little bit shocked too at that time when his brother gave him the opportunity to express and explain to him what was really going on. How it was like he was paused and scared about it, because it's like while he asked him, "What you got Gemma pregnant?" And he was like, "No, what you talking about?" That's any adolescent's first response. Yeah. That was my first response as a kid, right? So it's about growth. And we're watching him grow, right? But eventually I think he'll come around and step up and say, this is what happened.
I think so too. And I agree with what you're saying. And I can see that, as an adolescent, he was nervous about coming clean with Trig. But I also felt like he thought, this is one more thing that I'm putting on him, because Trig was dressed up because he was getting ready to go do his thing. He's campaigning. And I think he probably was like, I really don't want to burden him with this right now.
I can respect that from him. What I'm enjoying mostly though is the camaraderie of the family and how everything is being, entered. Everything is coming and centered. And that's why I would have loved for him to have said something, because like he said, it took him a while to warm up to Trig. And now that you have, I think that that's a bond that would be very difficult to break.
Right. Yeah, I want to sidebar for a minute. Lena, we need some of that Hillman grass stuff. We seen that sweatshirt. We used to send a spot over some of that Hillman grass stuff. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had one. I'd be wearing it today.
Extra large.
Y'all are a trip.
Yeah, a trip.
Hey, you have not because you
ask not. Okay.
Thank you very much.
We're aware that we'll wear it proudly.
Well, one thing I wanted to add before we skip to the next topic, Jake, he said something to Gemma that I feel like they're gonna have to touch on this a little bit deeper, because he was like, why don't you want to have my baby? Like he seemed like he felt rejected by her.
I'll say the same thing.
And so I was like, they got something else to work out there. Like they need to work through those issues before they make this decision. Like it seems like there's some underlying stuff there where he feels like maybe she thinks he's not good enough for her. So I really do hope they work through that. But another thing, I really liked how he went to Kevin and talked to Kev about it too.
Right. I was like, that is growth. Because, you know, the fact that they are back on track enough for him to even go to Kevin and talk about it. Right. He had a little lapse in judgment for a minute there when he said Kev was jealous. Kev was really mature though. Kev really grew. Because he was like, wait a minute. Like he was concerned for both of them. And he said, man, you know me. You know I'm not like that. And so the fact that he trusted Kevin with that information and everything and thought that they were in a safe space enough for him to even do that was real cool.
Yes, I appreciated that. And even helped him with his little costume.
Right. Yeah.
I gotta admit, that was some fast drying paint though.
You know? Isn't it something?
But no, I like that. And I did like that. I also like, you know, the fact that Jake was, he admitted, oh, it's my bad, man. You know, you know, he was quick to bring it home.
Apologize. Yeah.
Accountability. And that's what it's about.
Yeah. Now, somebody that surprised me though was Maisha, because she seemed kind of, I mean, we know Maisha gonna speak her mind regardless, but it seemed like she was being so supportive of Jemma last week, and she still is supporting her, but it seemed like she was really on the side of like, your body, your choice, Jake will get over it, whatever, you know. And so, and they were going to the college fair, which I think why maybe that conversation was more towards, you know, her terminating the pregnancy, because you can see that they were considering their future. And so Mike was like, look, you got to think about you got to think about your future and really, you know, understand all of what you're getting yourself into. So if you decide to terminate it, you know, it is your choice and he will get over it. So I thought she might have, I don't know. I didn't know how much she would be able to sway Gemma since such their relationship and their friendship is so new. But I feel like that they are still building and seemingly becoming better friends.
And I think it was Maisha's comment the most, which had me ask the questions in the beginning, because to say that he will get over it,
I thought that was a little unfair.
It's not unfair. It's a lot unfair. And you know, just because he's a man doesn't mean that he won't, you know, may not be able to forgive himself for allowing her to get rid of that baby. You know, I just thought it was a little, you know, cool-hearted to say that in the fashion that she did. So, but I know Maisha, she speaks her mind, and she, you know, and she comes around. She is a loving person. I like that about her. I like her strength, and she shows a lot of it. But that was just a cool point to me. That
no, you're right. You're right, because I mean, bottom line, whether Jim is carrying the baby or not, but you know, he is a father. I mean, you know, it takes two. Yeah. So it will be a personal loss for him as well if she decides to get rid of that baby. And it's interesting to me because Gemma, at first, she seemed kind of adamant that she was just like, you know, it seemed like she was really leaning towards getting rid of the baby. But when she talked to Maisha, she talked about how sad Jake seemed to be. And that seemed to sway her.
Yeah. And she also talked about the dream she had where, you know, the dream was like they had built a family and it was actually like a really good dream. And so I just think that, you know, she is going to keep it ultimately. And, you know, we talked about this with P-Valley and, you know, the teenage pregnancies. And it's not to say that, you know, your life is over just because you have a child young. It's just going to be, you know, you're going to have a different course. Your path is going to be a little bit more difficult than maybe your peers. But you can still, you know, be successful and enjoy a family life.
Absolutely. That's 100% true.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into that, and not to say that we will, but that argument with pro-life and pro-choice and things like that, because I honestly do believe, and it's just a personal belief, but I do believe that men need to get out of the way of women making decisions about what they do with their bodies. You know, it is not our decision, guys, when it comes to a woman being pregnant, because we've never been pregnant. We can't get pregnant. So I just feel that it is just ironic for a man to think that he can sway or not even sway, use his own muscle to determine what a woman feels and thinks. You're wrong. You're absolutely wrong for that.
It's an adolescent mindset, right?
No, it's not actually. It's not adolescent at all.
Are you talking about what's going on now with our RV? Wait.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he's talking
about. With RV, you know, you're making, these men are making choices for women, and you need to step back. Now, I guess I said I wasn't going to get into it, but
right.
But we already know with that situation, there's another agenda going on. So, you know,
yeah,
we'll let that lay where it is.
Right. Right.
Other news though, you know, another thing, since we're talking about the kids in the show, Kev and Simone, they seem to really be, you know, moving forward in a really positive direction. And she's opening him up and exposing him to things outside of his limited, you know, his worldview. And she is really into the cosplay and dressing up and going to these parties.
Right.
You know, it's like not stereotypical. Like, I like that they're not putting a stereotype on this young Black child. Not just into her looks and makeup and doing things. Like, she's really very well rounded. She talked to Kevin about intellectual property and things like that.
Right.
So I was like, go ahead, Simone.
I like that about her because you know, sometimes when you're a little Black girl or a little Black boy and you don't do all the stereotypical things, sometimes you can be accused of acting white and stuff. So I was really pleased to see this about Simone, and she has this different side, and then she's exposing Kevin and everything, because there's a lot of us out here like that.
And to piggyback on that, I'm glad to see that she wasn't ostracized by Kevin because of her difference in terms of how she thinks and her education. He accepted that to the point that he's excited about it. He's very open-minded. So, you know, kudos to Lena, because, you know, trust me, we hear often how educated young Black kids are treated. And I loved in this particular piece, even when they were about to walk away thinking that they didn't win anything, and then come to find out they won best costume, couple's costume, costume. And, you know, so I'm like, okay, I really love that whole scenario, that whole scene.
Yeah, I did enjoy that. Now, talking about the kids still, Papa and his relationship with Bakari, because, you know, I thought about it after the show last week, and I was like, I bet you that boy that pointed that gun at Emmett was Bakari.
Right.
You were right.
Right.
And I was disappointed with Papa because not because he's just getting to know Bakari, but when Shad, and I know we'll get around to how that happened, Bakari getting into Trig's house. Bakari was like, I want to be here to see Jake's face when he finds out that you're staying here. And I'm like Jake, Papa, Jake is your boy. And Kevin is your boy. And you are here with the ops. And that's the other thing that kind of got me too. Like, I respect what Rashad was trying to do. But you got to have conversations. You got to make sure it's cool with the house before you bring people in, because you didn't brought this boy in. And I appreciate him trying to look out for the boy, because it seems that, you know, he's lost right now. And the fact that Rashad was able to talk him down with the gun shows that he can still be reached. So I appreciate Rashad trying to support him in that way. But there needed to be some conversations had before he just brought him home, because you see how Jake was traumatized. As soon as he came home, he got the ops staying under his roof. Yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah.
One thing it did show too is the influence of the older generation being able to talk him down, you know, because in a situation like that, just imagine what that could have been if he wasn't there, right? You know, and we're suffering with that right now, the presence of older men that's willing to step up, you know, see something, say something, see something, do something, right? You know, we sit back and watch, and we live in an era where people pulling their phones out, recording, opposed to stepping in and saying something and doing something, right? So I'm happy that he stepped up, you know, and told him to put the gun down, you know, and then even went to Emmett, like, let's give him a meal, right? You know, this is, we're taking it back. we're trying our best to take it back to those times where we can help, we can be that voice to the younger generation to help them.
You know, getting back to the Papa story, I with you, Tiffany, I'm really concerned about Papa because he's always been the man of wisdom.
Absolutely.
And, you know, and so these last few episodes, you know, he's been running with, you know, Bakari, which, I mean, it would be okay if he was, you know, imparting some wisdom with Bakari, and Bakari was accepting that. But you know, he's up there smoking with him, and now instigating and things like that. I'm trying to understand, Papa, are you digressing? I mean, what's going on here? You know,
he backsliding. He backsliding.
Well, yeah, it's something personal in his life that needs to be dealt with. That you know, we need to understand him a little better because this isn't the Papa we grew up with. You know.
No.
Maybe Maisha, when she said the rap about she's not dealing with church boys anymore and stuff like that, maybe he feels like he's trying to find his inner bad boy or whatever. Maybe he called himself trying to change his image. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no, you know, in the Christian community, we call it backsliding. Papa backsliding. That's all it is. You know, and you need somebody to step up to be there for him. Like, come on, grab his hand and pull him forward. That's it.
He needs to talk to Simone because Simone seems to have the correct wisdom behind it all. You know, you know, he can speak softly and carry a big stick. You know, he doesn't have to, you know, join Bakari. You know, sometimes you have to wear wolves clothing. You can be a sheep and wear wolves clothing to, you know, to get to the gang. And then when you get there, you show them that this isn't the way. But joining them, I'm not going to say that he's joining Bakari right now. I'm thinking and I'm hoping that he's done that. He's put on a wolf's clothing as a sheep to help him. And I want to see more of that. I want to see him get more involved into Bakari's head, because I think if he's going to be reached, he's going to be reached by someone his own age. And of course, what we've seen with Papa, you know, he has the ability, he has the gift of gab. He can, you know.
That gift of gab gets him in trouble too, though, because, you know, he seems like he's so concerned with this podcast and trying to, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe that could be a topic. And I think he's trying to reckon with, like, run his podcast and then understanding that everything is not for public consumption, like he said. Yeah. And so I think that Papa's big thing is acceptance. Like, I feel like he has been shunned by so many of his friends for the things he has said that he's really trying to fit in anywhere he can. And Bakari is kind of like somebody that's like pulling him in, like, hey, come hang with me. You know, none of his other friends are inviting him to hang. They both got girlfriends, and Papa here is the single one. He don't want to be the fifth wheel. So Bakari is like the only person that's really indulging him right now. And unfortunately, he's indulging him in the wrong things. So I hope he can pull it together, or maybe his dad or somebody can get through to him and help him to see that he doesn't have to do all of that just to be somebody's friend.
Or it might take Papa to get his boo back. You know, right now, you know, he's the only one that doesn't have a relationship. You know, he's single, like you said, you know, but his girl's still single too as well. And I think the rekindleness of them may help him bring order back, right? Bring that balance back. Because he lost it once he lost her.
But he's gonna have to stop being something he's not in order to get Maisha back.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Y'all as women don't know the power that y'all have, boy.
I was ready to say that, you know, this episode to me was about the power of a woman. We showed Deja how she was with Rashad, like showing him new things and stuff. Right. And then even with Kiesha and Emmett, you know,
guys,
regardless of crossing the line.
And y'all know I've been saying that all along, which is why I was so uptight on your namesake, Tiffany, because you all have that power, and she showed that. I mean, look at Emmett now.
Yes.
That new birth is largely on Tiffany's shoulders. So that's what she did. That's the work she put in. And now this boy has taken it to a whole nother level, and she's missing out on her work. She's missing out on her good work.
Right. Right. But that's the youth, though. That's the adolescent stage of not knowing your worth, not knowing your power. You know, she's going to grow into that. I think Papa you got to go through, Ryan, you remember, like being that young man, growing into a man stage, we got to learn who we really are.
Yeah.
You know, and struggle sometimes. We don't have that guidance around. You know, they're not showing his dad this episode. They're not showing the influence of him in this backsliding stages.
But you got old folks do the same thing. You know, old folks do the same thing. You know, it's not relegated to youth. It's just you got to know what you got when you got it.
Absolutely.
You know,
That's true.
You have to be wise enough, and wisdom is the thing to have.
But it comes with time. It comes with time.
It does come with time.
Or listening to the older folk, but you need to have wisdom in what you do. Right. And so obviously, unfortunately, Tiffany didn't have that.
Right. But back to what Tiff said about like just the women in this episode, breathing kind of life into the men, because you know Deja, she suggested that she wouldn't date somebody that had a record, but being with Shad like really changed her opinion on that. And she was pouring into Shad as well, like giving him the facials and showing him how self-care routine
it's important.
And it's so important, and it's sometimes it's so overlooked sometimes by men, and sometimes you know they don't always get their flowers and they don't get the attention and the love poured back into them. It's kind of like a lot of men feel like it's a thankless kind of being as a Black man.
You are so true, because every night my wife does her facial regimen and I'm sitting back like, why are you doing that? But at the end of the day, I'm thinking all I do in the morning is put some little water on my face, wash my, you know what I mean? It's getting in tune with caring about yourself. And that's something that, you know, a good woman can bring out. You know, we watch these characteristics.
Let me say this. I'm not telling my age, but before I got married, I had a woman show me some things, and maybe that's why I've been married for 27 years, but I'm just going to say, but you know, look, I wholeheartedly know that, you know, the greatest gift God could have ever given man was a woman. And, you know, because of the things that we learned from them. So, and I love that situation with Rashad and his boo.
Absolutely.
Because for one thing, I can see her falling in love with Rashad because, you know, he's a funny character, but he speaks from the heart. You know, he comes straight out with who he is. And men can understand that, or rather should understand that a little more with women. You know, the way to a woman's heart is through emotion. They like you coming out and telling them who you are. You know, they like that. And I think that's what got her over to his side even more. Yeah, go ahead.
That's important.
I'll let you finish.
Yeah, no, but it is important. And I just love that episode. You know, ain't nothing wrong with a man getting a facial. Having dry skin falling off your face.
Listen, when I go to get my nails done, pedicure, I see men all the time, and I see men with their spouses going to get pedicures and manicures and things and stuff. I think it's cool.
But we don't
and I believe in self-care Sunday.
But we don't understand that. You know, man, we not to be smart, we got that Grimes in us, so our skin, like I don't like, I put water on my face. I be thinking like I don't got, but now as I'm getting older, to preserve.
Yes.
Yeah,
you got to care for it. You got to water the garden. Now I'm
appreciated being made. He felt special. Like he said, nobody ever made me feel special.
Absolutely.
And so, like that's the other aspect of it, just being appreciated.
Yeah, because you know, a lot of men, we grew up thinking that we had to be rough and hard. We had to have this look, a persona about us, and you know, society put that on us. You know, women had something to do with it, but society put us on it. You know, and I'm glad to see that it's you know, it's coming to a point. It's getting to a point where men can actually relax now. You know, relax and take care of yourself, because that's all it's about.
That's the thing, because you can see too, like when somebody is there to pour into Shad, then what does Shad do? He goes and pours into somebody else by going to Bakari.
So important.
Amen. Amen.
It's reciprocal, and
Amen.
And you're absolutely right that, you know, you teach one, that person teaches another.
That's it.
And you know,
that's community. That's community. That's how you help our community.
Absolutely. And then the same thing with Keisha. You know, after Emmett had been held at gunpoint, like he was traumatized. Like he came home kind of shook.
And she loved on him. I was like, Keisha was a real one.
So I'm gonna cook you a home cooked meal. You know, everybody enjoyed her food. They were talking about how great the dip was. Even something so small as just like cooking a man a meal can change their mood and the way they act.
Yeah, I was like, go ahead, Kiesha. I said, because them bitches would have got some pizza and wings.
chicken and wings. Yeah, chicken and wings. Look, she bust a move. That's a real G for you right there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she did.
She threw it down.
But what I tell y'all about them too. What I tell y'all, I told y'all they was going. That's them. That's the couple right there.
Yeah,
I know.
And at this point, Emmett has been so supportive of her with her schoolwork and helping with the baby, and then she in turns gets to pour into him when he's going through something. So it's like it's only natural that they fall back into the fold.
And went to the card game and insisted on going to the card game with him.
I was like, she didn't crash the guy's name and stuff too. I was like, okay.
But she made it so much fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, why not?
Why not?
And it showed I loved it, plus she won the game. So, hey.
Listen.
Look, I wasn't mad at her, but some guys might have been like, that's my time with the fellas. Like,
right.
Guys might have said it.
You just saying you coming everything you want to know. So, but it was cute though.
Mm-hmm.
But what it teaches us too as men is we don't understand too. Sometimes y'all, as beautiful women as y'all are, y'all could be our friend. And that makes everything so much better. Our loyalty as men, I'm telling y'all, don't tell nobody I told y'all this, right? But the key to us is becoming our friend, right? Because men, we're loyal to our friends, right? And once y'all have our friendship, y'all got our heart. Because they had
already been friends.
That's the point.
Emmett and Keisha always had a friendship.
Always. And that's why I knew that it was always her for him and him for her. Because of the friendship. That's something he didn't have with his children's mothers, right? It was intimacy. It wasn't friendship. And once you develop that friendship, that's it. And that's that's the one for him.
And it takes two to tango. And
Absolutely.
so, and men have to understand too, before I can become a friend, I have to understand you as a person.
That's it.
And once we start doing that, put more emphasis on who we are. When you get into that relationship, don't jump in the bed too soon. Get to know that person. I'm saying it can be done. I hate to keep bringing myself up, but I mean, I had a 60-day rule.
You had the rule, Ron?
You had the rule. Usually the women. Usually it's the women with the rule.
No, my rule was 60 days. Okay. And I've been looked at kind of funny and asked certain questions, but I knew I had to get to know you first.
Right. Before you lay down with you, because and Ryan, you are so true. And I thank you for saying that. And I promise you all the wisdom that you have, I want to learn, right? It's something about learning yourself and learning to love yourself where you don't give yourself to anybody.
Man, look,
you learn.
Yeah, and that's what that whole Master Marshawn thing was about, because it seemed like a lot of them have been listening in to him, and Vic and all of them. So it was like they were aware of it, and they talked about how just taking some of his advice had helped make them better men.
Mm-hmm. So, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Emmett passed that 40-day celibacy challenge.
Right.
He couldn't though, but he already been there before, so it's not really bad for him. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'm gonna say he broke the challenge.
Yes.
But if anybody, I can really say, if anybody had a reason to break the challenge,
it was
he did. He broke it with a good person.
Listen to them.
So, look, there are, nothing's 100%. So,
right.
If there is a reason to break the challenge, I think he had a good one.
Listen, I'm Team Kiesha. However,
all day,
I don't see any scenario where any tiff, including this tiff, will be okay with what happened.
Exactly, which is what I'm looking forward to next week, because it looks like Kiesha is ready to come out.
Yes.
And y'all know how I feel about it.
It's gonna be drama. It's gonna be drama. I know you don't believe in girl code, but
no, you know what? Let me say this, because I got a lot of hits on that about me not believing in the girl code. It isn't that I don't believe in it as much. I don't see where there's so much emphasis drawn on it. When, and you got to remember this part, when you have moved on and you are supposed to be happy over here.
No, I get it.
You worried about what's going on over
here. That's ideal. And ordinarily that's fine. And I saw some of the comments too when they were saying, well, of course, Kiesha had a relationship with Emmett as well.
Right.
So they have a past. But the thing is, Kiesha and Tiff have been hanging. And they're like, ooh, sis, this, sis, that. They were going to the club and stuff. They built a friendship. And that's one thing if Emmett just moved on with another woman. Emmett moving on with a chick I'm supposed to be cool with, that is going to be an issue for Tiff.
But Tiffany, she was bashing Emmett with Kiesha the whole time. Right. You know, not once, not twice, but every time she mentioned Emmett, it was something negative.
Yeah.
So you can't help. And let me say this: if it had been the other way around, if she had nothing but positive things to say about Emmett, I don't think Kiesha would have dealt with it.
You're correct. But listen to this, right? Because that's the crazy thing. As it is a girl code, it's a guy code too as well, right? Mm-hmm. And now baby moms and wives are off limits when it comes to that, right? So it's supposed to be the same thing in reverse. But in their circumstance, they have a friendship, right? Mm-hmm. And that's something that him and his baby mama never had, a friendship. So it's going to be drama because of that, but it's going to be some understanding as well. The feelings are going to be drawn up because it's like, wow, I went away. Because I truly believe, like I told you guys before, she went away because she was forced. Meaning, like, you know, me and Ron kind of disagreed with that.
Yeah, forced. That word forced. She went away. Yeah. I agree.
Right. Because men, we have that power of the heart to pull the strings. So that's why I say that.
But Tiffany had the strings all along. I mean, Tiffany was the one that built the man. Tiffany was the one that had him become who he is. That's Tiffany was the one that walked away. Right. Tiffany wasn't asked to leave her mama's house. Tiffany left her mama's house and she took the little baby with him. So forced, and I had there were female comments that agree with me on that, that she wasn't forced because words have meaning and she was clearly not forced. Mm-hmm. She left on her own.
She freely left and took her child with her to another man's house.
She was tired of being hurt. Emmett his ways. She wanted a family structure.
She had that though, Hassan. She had that with Emmett. Emmett changed. He wanted to change.
He did change.
So to say what she wanted, she had it. The question is, why did you not believe it? Now there's a question. Why did you think that someone you don't know can give you something that you want from someone you see has changed, that you took homage to? So while I agree in some sense about what you're trying to say, but everything you're saying she had and she walked away from. So now the question is, why? Why couldn't she believe what she built?
Because Kiesha saw it. Keisha was like, you always been a good man. I was like,
exactly. Even in your roughest time, Keisha said, you were always a good man, just wayward, not centered. Not put on that.
He just needed to mature.
Yes.
Right. And put on a track. Tiffany put him on a track of maturity. And he got there.
Well, all I'm gonna say is I am looking so forward to next week to see how she gives that message to her that they've been messing around behind her back, because I don't see it going well.
So. I don't either.
Oh no, I agree. Look, Hassan, you're right. It's not going to go well.
At all.
I agree with that. My only, as I have said, and I'm going to stand on it until the day I leave this world, if you're happy over here, stay out of people's.
You can't control what's going on over here.
I get it. And nor should you.
Right.
But what's going to make matters worse is, you remember Emmett has to answer her calls because they have the child, right? But Kiesha hasn't been answering her calls. Because of the fact that, remember the last time she called, she didn't answer, right?
Well, so she didn't answer the call in front of him.
In front of him.
We don't know if she wasn't answering the calls later when she was by herself.
Right.
Well, it don't seem like she's been by herself. She's been kicking it at Emmett's for.
That's my point. That's my point.
So I'm like, you getting real comfortable, sis. That's why she ain't even there.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna tell you, y'all look
at Emmett's house.
Y'all look. Go ahead. They looked like they were playing house.
When Kiesha and Tiff do talk, I guarantee you, Kiesha gonna put Tiffany in her spot.
But I don't know about her spot, but I think she's gonna make her feel bad because she's gonna tell her the whole time she's been his friend.
That's my point. That's the spot I'm talking about.
Yeah, this has been my friend.
Tell him, look, you left this good man. Didn't throw you away, you threw it away. You know, it's like a police, you know, when the police are looking at a crime, a murder scene or something, and they want evidence, and they go to your trash can.
Right.
It's to find evidence. And the reason they go to your trash can is because that stuff that it's now it's no longer personal property.
Right.
It's you know, it's what do you call it? Communicable property.
Community property, absolutely.
And so that trash doesn't belong to you anymore.
Right.
So they go through the trash
without
having to go into your home. They can actually go into the trash can and find the evidence that may find you culpable. So that's in essence what I'm saying with Kiesha and Tiffany. Kiesha went into Tiffany's trash can and found a good thing sitting there like gold, just sitting there with a little mustard and ketchup and something else on it. And she wiped it off and said, "Oh, look at this! This is a little piece of gold here." You know what?
Ain't it crazy though? How it's always there. It's always in the trash.
Kiesha also asked her how she would feel if he moved on, and she said she ain't give it.
Right. Exactly.
So
until she find out who it is.
Who it is. Well, that's why I said that's gonna be the real issue. It's the who.
Yes. Right. So Tiff is in for a rude awakening next week or whenever it happens. But I want to talk about another love triangle because Vic is juggling 2 women now.
Woo!
Oh man. Man.
He is really pursuing Fatima.
He's not gonna be the councilman. It's not gonna work.
No, it's gonna work.
Unless he comes clean. Unless he comes clean, he's not gonna become the council.
Yeah, and
because this is gonna be a secret that's gonna be exposed if he does not come clean.
Exactly, because Fatima seems so adamant about him living in his truth and being who he is. And I'm kind of upset with her about that because it's not for you to force somebody into that position. Like people come out when they're ready, but she's so heavy-handed with trying to you need to be who you are. And what about, this fake image you're putting on with Tiara? And, she kind of suggested that he was confused in his sexuality too, because he seems to think a woman is a woman no matter if you're trans or not. And Fatima, I'm not sure if she had
I think he is confused though. I think there was some of the things. Yeah, I think he is confused. And the things that she was saying to him is that when he does not speak his truth, it's banishing them. It's making them disappear. So that's what she was trying to convey to him.
And
it's also you don't force somebody to do that. And
exactly. And that's what I wanted to. That's exactly what I wanted to comment on. And women sometimes, not all, but some women, and generally when y'all want what you want, y'all force the issue. And you know what? You can get what you want if you just play the game a little bit. You walk into the game. The game didn't walk in on you. She
didn't want to be a secret. We saw in the previews next week. She's talking about she feels like a mistress.
Well, you are a mistress right now. See, this is my point.
He ain't married. He's not married.
No. Mistress in the sense of no one knowing. You put yourself in the position that you're in. No one forced you to play the game. So if you're
Trig ain't in a real relationship either. So
and that's the other thing. He's not in a real relationship. This is all a political stunt. So why don't you just let it play out, and so he can get in, and then he can say who he is. But if he comes out and does that now, that's the end of the game. It could be the end of the game for him.
Can I ask y'all? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, Ryan. I'm finna because I want to ask y'all a question after this.
No, I'm pretty much done. I'm just. I just hate it when people get into these relationships knowing what you're getting into, but then wanting to take over and make changes at a pivotal point in time when it may not be in his best interest. He has an interest too. And it should not. And just because he's not claiming his feelings for a trans woman doesn't and shouldn't make you not seen or it shouldn't have anything to do with who you are, because if you're a strong trans woman, you are a strong trans woman, and it shouldn't matter how he thinks. If he doesn't, if he
talk about this with P Valley and Uncle P.
Exactly.
If
he
that
can't
are in these
comply,
very public positions that, you know, their career is on the line. And what y'all are doing in the background, you know, you have your own personal lives, but when you're mixing your personal persona and your public persona as somebody who's a public figure, it can be very difficult for that person in that position to reconcile those two worlds. And so I just didn't, like you said, Ron, I didn't appreciate the pressure Fatima put on him to do it right now. Do it now, or I can't. It's like, no, you cannot force that.
That's why it makes me kind of not trust her in a sense, because she's a journalist. And I'm like, I'm wondering if, you know, if she doesn't get her way, and she may be on the up and up. She may be on the up and up, but what if, would she expose him?
That's my point.
You know what?
I'm wondering if she would expose him, you know, and like write an article about him.
As a former journalist, you're taught there's no.
You're never off the record.
There you go. You're never off the record.
Go ahead,
and that's my question too. I asked before. Remember, it's making me think something. She was planted there for a reason, because when she came in, when she spoke about the Trinity House and being who his ex was, a transgender, her being a transgender. Now her coming around and spiking his interest, like it's something to that. And I don't like being right, but something is coming, something's going to come along further on in regards to her being there at that specific time when he ended that relationship. Now in this one, right? So now she knows that, okay, that relationship is over. She's no longer around. Now I'm going to do my best to be present. Was she planted there to spark his interest?
Well, if she was, she's playing a very dangerous game on both ends, because as a journalist, you going in and sleeping in with this person to get a story is not necessarily going to do you well in the, you know, when your editor, your chief editor gets a hold of all that. We see that in Tommy's Power Book Force. We see that same thing working out there too. You know, I don't believe it. So I think she has a real liking for
oh no, I'm not saying she doesn't like him. I mean, I think there's definitely a genuine attraction between
I do too.
Trig and Fatima. So I'm not saying that she was there to do anything insidious and stuff. But I'm just saying that she also is a journalist, and that could come out. And I feel like the situation with Duda and Quentin, because you know, Duda and them they're dangerous.
Yes. I was about to say that.
Trig signed an agreement, an NDA and everything. And if he does anything that affects that NDA or whatever, I can see it being physically a problem for Trig.
Or if Fatima does anything that jeopardizes
or for her.
He can get hands on her. So that's why I'm like, she doesn't really understand who she's dealing with in terms of who's backing Trig. So she better tread lightly.
And maybe Trig needs to
Otis and them went and put the pause on them construction dudes. I mean,
and Trig needs to speak up to Fatima and say, hey, look, I got an NDA, and that NDA limits me, you know, to do certain things. So
but is that her business right now? Because they know.
No, it's not. You don't need to tell her that.
Well,
it's going to be because of the individual.
Forcing the issue. Exactly. What do you say?
Individuals. They can make they might mess around.
Like, that's the thing about being in a relationship with somebody that's a journalist. Like, you always feel like you got to tread the line between, do I keep this to myself and, you know, tuck it under the vest, or do I tell this person and hope that I have enough trust in them that they are not expose me.
But
Tierra, I say journalists, they really good at research too.
Right, but you got to look at it from the perspective of the muscle's back, right? The muscle's back, right? So they're invested in this. They want they want Victor to be in the office for a reason, because they're the puppet master for real, right? So if they're going to put him in this position, and they need him to be in this position so they can win too as well, and if they know this relationship could be detrimental to that, they might make this editor, this reporter disappear, right? Because now this could be not good for them. No, this is a relationship, and he's a cheater. Oh no, this why would we trust him to run our city if he's a cheater?
But right? you know who would call that? Roz. If Roz get wind of that,
that's what I'm saying. Absolutely,
that could be a problem. Roz would call that shot.
Right, and they would
Roz
make
would have no problem eliminating that woman.
That's listen, because they're already muddying up Tracy's organization.
Yes.
Right. That's the muscle. The muscle's back.
And getting back to Tracy, it's sad, but when you go to bed with the devil, you wake up with horns.
And she's in love with him, and it looks like Duda has real feelings for her too.
Of course,
yeah,
but he's married. He's married too. But he loves his wife, and his wife has her own relationship, you know, with niece, you know, her own situation going on. But it's something going on to the perspective of, like, they're not going to allow that to happen. I'm telling you, they're not going to allow that to happen. They're not going to allow him to be with her openly, because now he's going out with her. They're going on dates. He's opening the door for being himself. And once because somebody's watching them, right? Because they want to make sure that they have a plan in place that he doesn't even know about, right? So once that plan gets interrupted, they're going to say, we need to eliminate the interruption.
But you know what? We call it 6 degrees of separation. Somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows.
Absolutely.
You. And you know, that's how you get found out. Absolutely. And brothers, when y'all think y'all cheating and you think you're doing something, you ain't. Because somebody who knows somebody.
Small world.
It's a small world. And that's how you get caught up, because somebody's gonna see you. And so unless Victor is not only thinking but ready to make that decision in favor of Fatima, you know, he better cool it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know, the whole reason that they brought Quentin and Duda in was because the community was complaining to Roz about their packages being stolen and stuff. And so they're going after whoever they think is responsible. But we know behind the scenes that it was Bakari. And so they going after the wrong people. And so I'm like, okay, I wonder if this don't mess their situation up too. And you heard Roz, like she was saying, just keep everything calm and cool until I can raise enough money. Well, and I feel like Roz is playing both sides, because I feel like she's using them as muscle, but she's also trying to undercut Quentin. And I think that money raising is her way of not only funding Rock, but getting out from under Quentin.
Let me tell you something. The poison has been laid. When Quentin decides to take 20% of dirty money, and that money being funneled back into the organization,
which Tracy was upset about.
Which Tracy is upset about, and rightfully so. And then
she's right about that.
And you got this reporter on board that can easily find out that information. There goes your nonprofit, right down the drain.
I think it's going to be a break between Duda and Quentin, because he's torn between his feelings for Tracy, and then he has a different mindset than Quentin as well. So I wonder if it will come to him physically removing Quentin.
Somebody's gonna do it.
Somebody's gonna do it. I think so.
And you know who can do it? Duda.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. I think Duda is gonna be the one to do it. If it ain't Duda, it might be Roz.
Because Duda really,
I feel like it's an obvious choice to do it. Maybe it'll be somebody less suspecting. You know, maybe it won't be the.
Well, sometimes the person that's closest is the right person. Because because Quentin would be Quentin would not think that it would be Duda.
No, he wouldn't.
He saw somebody coming, it would be somebody else. He wouldn't think Duda would. But you can see Duda doesn't like taking second in command. Duda likes to be on top, and he's been questioning Quentin all along. So if anybody was going to do it, my ducks go to Duda.
Yeah, well, I think we all agree that at some point he's gonna go though, no matter who.
Gotta go. Yeah, too old to be strangling folk up there like that anyway. You know, I mean, come on, bro.
Right.
Right. Boogeyman.
Yeah, talking about you the boogeyman.
I was like, sit down.
Yeah, shoot you in your head. Really be the boogeyman.
That's old school. You know how they do. You know, it's old school.
Yeah, but I guess he was lucky he approached the group he did, because some groups wouldn't even allow them in the door.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I enjoyed this episode. It definitely threw a wrench into things with, that whole Bakari situation and him being invited to live with Trig. Trig accepted it, but I'm still wondering like how this is going to play out with Jake, because they still have not settled their beef. And I'm like, Jake is about to be a father now. He can't be out here, having beefs out in the streets and stuff with somebody like Bakari, who really doesn't.
I don't think Jemma gonna go through with it though. I don't know if she's gonna keep that baby. I think
she was.
It did seem that way. It does seem that way, but I don't know, because her thinking about the future and everything and stuff. I kind of feel like she's right now trying to make Jake happy, but I feel like she's probably not going to do that. I'm just, and you know, I might be surprised, but I don't know if she's gonna keep that baby. I wanted to say that I do appreciate Rashad's character development, because we saw last season, you know, he was being insulting Imani and stuff, and he was just being, you know, he was being real difficult. He was a problem last season and stuff. And this season, you can see how he has really evolved and grown. And then he impressed upon Trigg about the importance of, you know, like, we didn't have the mentors in our lives. Look where we would have been, what we could have been had we had the same mentors and had people like us in our lives. So, and the way he's embracing this new love and everything, I'm really feeling his character this season.
Me too. And I'm glad we got the backstory on Bakari too, because it was like, why is this child so like, he just all over the place? And really, like, we understand his background now, that he had been, you know, house hopping and couch surfing. One of his friends' parents kicked him out, and he had been stealing the packages to pawn the stuff for money. So he really is kind of like out here on his own, and he needs some guidance and structure. So I hope that he will really take to heart the guidance that he gets from Trig and from Shad, and that hopefully him and Jake can kind of put the beef aside, because it's really counterproductive, considering they both are in a very pivotal point in their life.
And that's where Papa comes in. I think Papa can draw that bridge between Trig and between Jake and
Bakari.
Yeah, I think that bridge could be had with Papa if Papa wakes up and comes out of his
season. He's in a different season right now.
Right.
Let's hope it's just an episode, not a season.
Right.
Let's just hope it's an episode. So,
you know, as Ron, you remember being a young man, we go through those seasons where we're learning ourselves, because sometimes we mature faster than expected, and we're not aware, we're not woke of what's going on. And Papa, for some odd reason, you know, he's struggling between the world and his spirituality, right? So he's trying to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, he's being drawn back in by somebody who doesn't have his best interests at heart.
Well, you know, I think, because you keep bringing me into this thing, and I gotta say,
I just have remnants of the past. That's all.
I know, and I say, because for me it was a little different. I have an identical twin brother. He's not only your brother, he's also your best friend.
Right.
So it was very strange for us to go out and meet other guys and be friends with them, because, you know, we had this bond that we didn't need anyone. And not to say, and let me rephrase that. We certainly needed other people. We just didn't know it. Right. So when growing up, we grew up together, and I was different in the sense that even I got married late because I understood that I couldn't afford a wife and a child at a certain age. I knew that. And so, you know, I made certain of things. And that's not every man. I understand that. Right. You know, but I guess that's why I can be as hard on people sometimes as I am. And I only do it only because of my personal experience.
You're talking about from your lens, like all of us have.
Exactly. I see life from my lens, and unfortunately, you know, it doesn't adjust to everybody's lens, but I'm smart enough to know, and you know, heartfelt enough to know that people didn't have the experiences I had growing up. I was fortunate, and though, you know, I lived, you know, we didn't have a lot of money. We lived in an area that most people would want to condemn, but, you know, I had the experiences of other older people, including my mom and pop, that put things in us that other kids just don't get. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but yeah.
But you know, and that's why we had a commenter that was talking about this show is not relatable, and I'm like, well, if that's your personal experience, then that's you. But I would say that a lot of people can relate to this show because of the relationship issues that it highlights, a lot of the family and community issues that it brings in. Like, a lot of people can relate in one way or another to some of these characters and their experiences. And it's like nobody is like going to be omitted from life struggles, and you can't always control the hand that you're dealt. And so I'm just like, this show does a really good job of humanizing people and showing that no matter what your circumstances are, you are not your circumstances.
Drop the mic.
And I want to piggyback on that, because I was talking to somebody about that, about how the show is relatable for me, because I can see myself in Tiff and Keisha, not everything that Tiff and Keisha done. Tiff, because Tiff got married young. I got married young. I'm no longer married now, but I got married young. I had a child young, not teenage, but young. And I was going to college and having a child at the same time. And I did what Keisha did with having a child and studying and going to college. Sometimes my child was with me in the food court and in the classroom with his coloring book and everything like that. And I had an instructor that said, you don't apologize for life's detours. And today, I mean, it didn't stop anything. Look, sis has a master's degree. Her son is a college HBCU graduate. Amen. So, I see myself in Keisha and Tiff. And so the show is relatable for me.
Absolutely. And I want to piggyback off what you said too, Ron, from the half full perspective, right? Sometimes it's, a diamond isn't always a diamond. It's because of the pressure, right? And for some men like myself, it's because of the pressure that causes me to be who I am, right? Sometimes, like you said, you wouldn't, you felt as though, you weren't ready to be married and have a family at that time because of your circumstance. I'm the type of person, whereas I feel like I'll get the circumstance, and because of the pressure of the circumstance, I become who I'm supposed to be, and for some men, that's the perspective of life.
Oh yeah. And I don't knock it at all. But I agree with all of you, and especially Tiffany, because I see a lot of Tiffany in this show. And I mean that in a good way, but it just I can't. The problem I'm going to have is when the show ends, because the reality of the show is just so overwhelming that you're caught in it. You can't. It's very difficult to walk away from this show, because there's something for everybody. And just like you said, Tiara, that young man or woman, whoever it was, I believe it was a young man, who said they couldn't find themselves in the show only because you're not looking. But there's a little bit of you in every part of this show. And if you don't see it, it's only because you're not looking. Mm-hmm. And so for some of us, there's more of us in there. But yeah, if you look hard, and you don't have to look that hard either, brother. Just watch the damn show.
And I'm saying, like, this is not uncommon to anybody in the Black community. We all have people that struggle. We know relatives that may have had drug issues or so, like, don't sit up here and try to act like you don't know. Like,
listen, I'm Emmett. I know it. I'm Emmett. I see it. I mean, I grew up, I became a better man because of the pressure, right? You want to make sure as a man that, circumstances in life might cause you to fall down, but at the end of the day, it's within you to step up and show up, and be the man that you are, right? And it's because of the pressure. Sometimes when you don't have pressure, you become lazy and stagnant, right? And because of the pressure, you call, that diamond, if it's flawless, it's beautiful, it's priceless.
We fall down, but we get up.
Amen. Amen.
So on that note, I think we can close out and say this is a great episode. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Hassan for joining us again, giving some great commentary. I mean, all around great episode. I'm so looking forward to next week though, because I'm like,
you want to see the dust up.
I don't know what's gonna happen, if it's gonna be a Jerry Springer moment or not.
That's the good thing about it.
Yes, so I'm looking forward to it. Please make sure again that you all are subscribed to our channel. Click the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post. Also follow us on all of our social media at The Spot Real Talk on all major social platforms. And look, stick with us because we got some stuff up our sleeve now. So I'm just saying,
got some surprises coming.
Surprises are coming. You don't want to miss out. So that notification bell is going to be important.
Look, this is the greatest show on earth. And, okay.
What he said.
That's facts.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. This is the greatest show on earth, and we ain't Ringling Brothers, so you need to come and watch us.
And subscribe, not just watch, but subscribe. That's the most important part. You know, everybody comes each and every week dedicated to give great content. So it's important to subscribe. You know, people watch, right? But it's the support comes with the subscription. So if you can, guys, please subscribe. I subscribe, you subscribe, we all subscribe. That's the support.
That part. Okay. So thank you guys again for watching, and please make sure you are back here next week, same time when we come back to recap the next episode of The Shy. Have a good night.
Good night now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
They been on their ass, bitch, I'm on the rail. I wrap it, I bag it, I pack it for sale. Got feeling on speed out, hit me to chill. I give it a thrill, I put it on film. Niggas facade, get applaud, that ain't real. Come to my section and flex, we can tell. I got a show where she dipping them nails. I'm flipping my L's, I know they could tell. I did it too major, they hit me for favors. Been him since the cable was cut in the cradle. What's up, only right that I do it. Colossal until I'm a boss, so they want me to fail. Look, we prevail. Tell them to point out who said that they run it. Bitch, I'm on your tail. Know that they talking, they telling them tales. Just know how to tell, that shit for the sale. Hey, they talk like they got it, but they need to stop it. I'm leading with logic, my heartbeat is frosted. I seen it, got optics I needed from Shawty. She mean with the top.